Bulldog beatdown. Gonzaga leaves the Marriott Center with another loss thanks to the Lady Cougars.
Faithful Four. Find out what role the freshmen play in helping the men's team earn W's.
And Cusick's commitment. He works extra hard to be part of the team, and his dedication doesn't end with his name on the roster. I'm Rachel Schwartz.
And I'm Emmanuel Nah. Let's tip it off. It's time for the two.
The women's basketball game last night against Gonzaga was a nail-biter. I literally haven't seen the Marriott Center that packed for a women's game since I can remember.
No, seriously, I think the fans have a huge something to do with the game, but the bottom line is the girls' team is full of a bunch of ballers. They bullied the number 18th ranked Gonzaga Bulldogs at home last night, and this game was definitely exciting. 2,000 plus fans, their hype, balloons on their head. Gonzaga took an early 7-2 lead in this one with this three right there, but BYU would battle back with the play of Jennifer Hampson off the bench. Huge board right there, and then kicks it to the outlet. Very next play, comes down, huge block. She would finish the night with 14 points. Sophomore Kim Parker is a baller. She had back-to-back buckets to start off this one. Nails the three-pointer. Ref was in the way. Don't mind her. Stephanie Vermont hits the J, and it was all BYU from here on out. They went on a 20-0 run. Haley Steed creates her own shot. And with that assist to Kristen Riley, BYU would cruise to an easy win, 70-40. The women are 22-4 and 10-2 in conference. They'll take on San Francisco this Thursday at 7 p.m. in the Marriott Center. And even before BYU crushed Gonzaga last night, senior Kristen Riley received some good news of her own. The center was named January's Player of the Month for the West Coast Conference. Riley scored in double figures in 6 of the 9 games her team played in January, ending the month with 133 points, which averages out to more than 14 points per game. The Cougars co-captain led BYU to 8-1 conference record and a 9-game win streak in January.
Men's basketball defeated the Portland Pilots 79-60 in a road game that felt a lot like a home game because of the number of Cougar faithful in attendance. 5 BYU players scored in double figures, and Brandon Davies led the team with 18 points and a career-high 8 steals, 4 assists, and 1 block. BYU shot 38 of 53 from the free throw line and created a huge deficit that the Pilots couldn't overcome. Cougars headed back to Provo with 1 more win on their record, making this their 7th straight 20-win season. And the week-long wait is almost over. The team is finally playing again, and it'll be at home with the Pepperdine Waves washing into Provo. When the Cougars played in Malibu 3 weeks ago, BYU won 77-64 with Brandon Davies dropping 29 on the Waves. Pepperdine is 2-11 in conference and is coming off a 13-point loss at home to San Diego last night. Despite the loss, Wave senior center Corbin Moore posted his 7th double-double of the season and his 3rd double-double in the last 4 games. Junior guard Joshua Lowry has also scored in double figures in Pepperdine's last 6 games. Cougars are 4th in conference with an 8-3 record, and they could move into a tie for 3rd in the West Coast Conference with a win tomorrow. Tip-off is at 4 p.m. in the Marriott Center. It's rare to see a freshman get a lot of playing time in college basketball, but this year BYU relies heavily on the contribution of its first-year players. CougTube reporter Brandon Steele dug a little deeper into this. Brandon, tell me how these freshmen are creating a spark for the Cougars.
Well, the newest additions to the squad this year are really starting to hit their stride. And after enduring the typical challenges of a freshman campaign, BYU's youngsters think they're ready to excel on the court when it matters most. BYU is back in familiar territory in the race for a conference title, and the fresh faces on this year's team are a big reason why. In their last 4 games, BYU's freshmen have accounted for 1/3 of the team's points, steals, assists, and made field goals.
And we've been going hard, from the beginning, and Coach has thrown us out there, and, we've learned, we've made our mistakes, and I think we're learning from them now.
Following the footsteps of former standout freshmen Tyler Haws and Kyle Collinsworth, Matt Carlino and company are key to the Cougars' strategy if they hope to defeat conference rivals Gonzaga and St. Mary's.
Our 4 freshmen, we are a big part of the team, but not as bigger than any other part of the team, but we sure do contribute.
As they enter the final stretch of the season, expect to see freshmen Nate Austin and DeMarcus Harrison come off the bench. The youngsters have formed a bond as they've grown on and off the court together.
And, we are all freshmen, so I think we all share that bond. And, it's kind of cool to be able to not just go through it by yourself. You're going through it with, all these other guys who are, going through the same thing as you, and it's been fun.
Coach Dave Rose says the Cougar Cubs will look to continue their stellar play as they march toward the postseason. BYU has had talented freshmen in its history, but with injuries sidelining older Cougar players, it's the first time in Coach Dave Rose's career that he's had to rely on freshmen for so much of the team's overall production.
I'll have to keep my eye on those freshmen in tomorrow's matchup against Pepperdine. Thanks, Brandon.
The WCC honored Brandon Davies for his monster play against Gonzaga and Portland, naming him Player of the Week for the second time. The junior forward averaged 16.5 points, 9 rebounds, and 4.5 steals per game in wins over the Bulldogs and the Gales. And his work in Portland was particularly huge. He had almost a triple-double with 18 points, 13 boards, and 8 steals. He's the second two-time Player of the Week in the West Coast Conference this year.
The West Coast Conference men's title race just got tighter with Gonzaga's 73-59 win against St. Mary's last night. The Gales are still sitting atop the standings with only one loss, but their lead has shrunk to 1 game over Gonzaga. Loyola Marymount and BYU aren't out of it yet. Both have 3 losses, and the Lions still face both St. Mary's and Gonzaga, while the Cougars have a chance to sweep the Bulldogs in a couple of weeks.
Former walk-on Craig Cusick is a welcome boost from an unlikely source for the BYU men's basketball team. Cougar reporter AJ Swartwood got an assist from the Cougars' backup point guard.
In the college basketball world of big-time recruits, junior Craig Cusick is an exception to the rule. The guard wasn't recruited by BYU out of Orem High, so he signed with the University of Utah. After a mission and a year of JUCO ball, he decided to give Cougar basketball one more shot as a walk-on.
Tried out, was on the practice squad for the whole year, just doing some practice stuff, and then after the season ended, coach came to me and said he wanted me to stick with the team.
Cusick paid his dues and gained the team's trust and is now the 6th man. He scored a career-high 12 points last weekend at Portland.
He's been really big for us. He's really solid. When he gets on the court, he just plays hard. He really contributes to everything we do. And
while Craig Cusick joined the BYU basketball team as a walk-on, he hopes to walk off as a West Coast Conference champion. Walk-ons in D1 basketball are rare. It's even rarer for walk-ons to see significant playing time.
His ability to go from a practice player to believing that he can compete at this level and then compete against these guys, I think is kind of a story in itself.
Cusick and Cougar fans alike hope that this story has a happy ending. At the Marriott Center, AJ Swartwood, CougTube.
Cusick is now averaging 16 minutes a game and leads the team in three-point shooting. Pretty impressive for a guy who was on the practice squad just last year.
When CougTube returns, extra effort, what the volleyball team is doing to make up for an injury to a key player.
And racing for records. The track and field teams are winning more than just first place. Stay with us.
It was a long weekend for men's volleyball. They were dominated by number 7 Stanford twice, falling to 6-3 on the season and losing their perch at the top of the national polls. Sophomore sensation Taylor Sander watched both losses from the bench with a broken hand, and the Cardinal jumped out early and took the first set easily. After the Cougars took the second set, it was all Stanford from there. Cardinal took sets 3 and 4 for the 3-1 win. Saturday was much the same. The Cardinal took the drawn-out first set 35-33, and the Cougars fell short in 2 back-and-forth sets to end up on the wrong end of a 3-0 sweep. The Cougar Spikers rebounded nicely last night, though, taking care of UC San Diego in 3 straight sets. They'll look for the sweep against the Tritons tomorrow afternoon in San Diego.
Being ranked 3rd in the nation is tough. Now imagine being ranked without your star player. CougTube reporter Miranda Montgomery talks volleyball strategy without high flyer Taylor Sander.
Sander is no stranger to volleyball, playing on the under-21 national team before graduating high school. He's now learning how to help his team off the court.
Outside hitter and star player Taylor Sander is sitting out for at least 4 weeks after running into a teammate and fracturing his hand during practice. Teammates rely on Sander when it comes to putting the ball away and scoring points. And with a double loss against Stanford last weekend, that's exactly what the Cougars are missing.
Taylor's a very key player on our team, and he, of course, makes our team better. But without him, everyone else is going to kind of step up their game a little bit because there's always we always relied on him to put away a ball if we needed it to be done.
In his last game before getting injured, Sanders led the team in kills, slaughtering the Trojans with 25. Coach McGowan expects other players to rise up to the net, but recognizes the magic in Sanders' hand.
We just need to be better, kind of sharper all around. Taylor kind of hid a lot of evils, you know. He covered up a lot of our kind of little mistakes, and those are little mistakes that now get exposed when he's not around because we just don't have his offense.
The Cougars won't be facing this setback for too long, and Ty says when Sander returns, BYU will be stronger than ever.
Doctors are hoping for a speedy recovery, and if all goes well, Taylor will be back in action by the end of March. Rachel?
Thanks, Miranda. It looks like volleyball is not the only sport taking a hit. Softball took a hard hit in their season opener against Oregon State, losing worse than they have to any team in their history. The Cougs allowed 22 runs, and 16 of them were in the second inning. 4 runs in the top of the third wasn't enough to battle back against OSU. The last team to beat BYU by anywhere close to this was Penn State in 2007.
BYU women's soccer is ready for their second season in the West Coast Conference after signing 7 recruits this week. The new class includes top players from Utah, California, and Oregon. Every player has at least 2 All-State recognitions, and head coach Jennifer Rockwood expects them to be a big factor in the Cougars' pursuit of a WCC title.
When CougTube returns, terrific track work. These quick Cougars are finishing faster and setting new records.
And tennis tension. BYU's ace athletes are trying to raise a racket in their new conference. We'll be right back. The BYU dive team is facing off against Stanford in the Richards Building pool as we speak. This meet is their last before postseason competition. BYU head diving coach Keith Russell says he hopes his divers' hard work and practice will pay off today after the meet. After the meet, the Cougars will have less than a week to prepare for conference championships in California. Women's track and field has a lot to celebrate after last weekend's meet in New York City. CougTube reporter Kim Huber tells us about their record-breaking accomplishments and gives us a look at what's to come.
Nichelle Mackey and Katie Palmer had record-breaking performances at last week's New Balance Invitational. Mackey broke not only the BYU record for the 800-meter, but the meet record as well. She is currently the fastest athlete in her event in the country. Palmer came in a close second and holds the second-place spot for the event at BYU and nationwide, too.
I gave him a race strategy of following and then taking that lead back somewhere before the last turn, and Nichelle did that.
You know, that feeling is what you live for, what you work for every day in practice. It was so rewarding to do well.
Mackey and Palmer weren't the only 2 to break records in New York. Christian Gunther broke a personal and school record by pole vaulting more than 14 feet.
So every meet previously had been a good learning experience, but it was so nice to finally see the work pay off.
All 3 women helped lead the team to a second-place overall finish in New York City and plan to bring that same heat to nationals in March. At the Smith Fieldhouse, Kim Huber, CougTube.
The NCAA Nationals are in Nampa, Idaho, and Coach Shane is hoping these women will continue to improve and help their team to its 5th national championship.
BYU junior golfer Zach Blair is on the Ben Hogan Award watch list for 2012. It's the most prestigious prize in men's college golf and takes into account all collegiate and amateur competitions during the past year. Blair ranks 7th in the country with a stroke average of 70 per round and has won his last 2 individual tournaments. Men's tennis is battling back from a few sets down earlier this season. CougTube reporter Clinton Martinson hits the court with the team to see what they're serving up to get back on track.
BYU is number 6 in the WCC with a record of 3-4, but they have cruised past their last 2 opponents. BYU men's tennis is used to being the ace on the court in the Mountain West Conference. This year, they find themselves double faulting in the WCC.
We're up against some challenges that we haven't faced before, so you know, it's just overcoming those difficulties, those challenges.
BYU started the year ranked number 36 in the nation, but stumbled out of the gate, losing 4 of their first 5 matches. Coach Brad Pierce made some early adjustments to give the team an extra boost.
We felt that some of our younger players needed just a little bit more time on the court, so we implemented early morning practices starting at 7 a.m. every day.
Team captain Georgi Batrikov says the extra practice has already paid off.
We can tell that it's helping us right now because we played last week against two teams and we crashed them. So
the team says they want to use the momentum they gain to keep the ball rolling as the season progresses. They have set their sights high for this year.
Our goals are to win conference.
With the added preparation, the Cougars want to gain the advantage and become king of the court in their new conference. BYU travels to California today to play the number 9 Stanford Cardinal, their highest-ranked opponent this year. Emmanuel?
Thanks, Clint. The tennis team is coming off back-to-back wins against Idaho State and Montana State. Doubles duo Patrick Kauka and number 43-ranked Georgi Barchikov are 12-6 on the season and will take on Stanford's top doubles team, who are 9-3 this season. The match starts at 2:30 p.m., and you can follow live stats on BYUCougars.com. Gymnastics is ready to bounce back from a 1-point loss at home against Boise State. Tonight they'll take on number 17 Denver at 7 p.m. in the Smith Fieldhouse. They'll compete without 4 of their best gymnasts, but head coach Brad Cattermole is confident that the rest of the girls will step up. 3 freshmen are on the roster, and they're ready for the challenge.
The BYU rugby team is in Las Vegas right now, playing Missouri in their second game of the Las Vegas Invitational. The Cougars faced Penn State yesterday, and the Nittany Lions fought hard, but the Cougars managed to pull away and pound Penn State 64-12. BYU head coach Dave Smith says he liked what he saw yesterday, but still sees plenty of room for improvement.
When CougTube comes back, devoted dribblers. These Cougar fans had a hands-on hoopla playing for a basketball bonus.
And the winter can't keep pretending to be springtime much longer, but it's certainly going to try to. And I'll also let you know my secret for being our sports specialist in prediction, your 11 game.
So what does it mean to bounce with the Cougars? Would you do it as a BYU fan? The folks at BYU Athletic Marketing bet you would, especially with a trip to Vegas to watch the Cougars ball in the West Coast Conference Tournament. CougTube reporter Amy Bench found out how far fans went for a free ride.
Want to see your game face?
Now this contest is pretty simple. All you need to do is dribble the ball non-stop, longer than anyone else here, and you're going to Vegas. But I'm guessing it's a little harder than it looks.
The lucky winner and a guest will be on their way, all expenses paid to Sin City. But overconfidence and unpreparedness plagued this playing field.
I've been practicing for 3 hours every day for the past month for this, so it should be enough, I think, I hope.
How much you got in you?
Hours, days.
Kind of flat, which means I have to push really hard if I'm standing up.
My ball's a little flat, that's the problem right now.
One by one, the competitors fell. An hour and 35 minutes went by, and then there were 2. Finally, 2-ball dribbling separated the pretender from the contender.
At the beginning, I said my chances were slim to none, so they were slim.
But they were there, obviously.
It's nice to win something.
We never win anything. He won. Good job.
Bouncing with the Cougars in Provo, Amy Bench, CougTube.
Thanks, Amy. The tournament will go down February 29th through March 5th. I just can't believe I wasn't in that. No doubt in my mind, I'd have won it. Lydia, Vegas, I'd have won it. I'm telling you.
Yeah, and I wish I could go down there right now because look outside right now. Yuck. But hey, at least it's kind of dreamy, right? It's been pretty humid all day and pretty wet, but we've got a couple bits of sunshine coming in through. Right now it is 93% humidity, so that's probably why you feel like you're walking around in a cloud. And 41 degrees, we're going to keep warming up throughout the rest of the day. Let me show you how this looks like from above. We have a warm front coming in here, so you can't see the worst of it, but we still have that cloud cover over us here in Utah. And so once that moves through, we'll have our temperatures dropping just a little bit and dumping maybe a little bit of rain on southern Utah, but temperatures will stay warm. Here, I'll show you. Sorry, I'm in the way. We're in the high 50s going into the lower 40s, but still staying there and, you know, not going too far below freezing into the colder temperatures. And up here on the Wasatch Front, same thing, slight drop in temperatures, but it is going to still stay into the mid 40s. So a little bit of a coming up on Saturday and then going back down, going into next week. And then Our game day tomorrow, BYU versus Pepperdine, 4 p.m. in the Marriott Center. Couple light showers potentially, humidity relatively medium, but we'll be inside, so you don't need to worry about the temperatures.
And for predictions, last week was a little rough for Eman and I, both New England fans, both Giants haters. Let's just move on from that. By some miracle, Lydia still holds the #1 spot, the weather girl, who would have ever thought. But unfortunately, that Patriots loss set us back last week with our predictions. The reporters, Eman and I, all picked the Patriots to win. So it looks like that's going to hurt us. And then going into this week for predictions, we are picking BYU versus Pepperdine and #6 Baylor at #4 Missouri. Looks like I think everyone's going to be picking our Cougs for this week. I think that's a good choice. They're at home. It's going to be great. And then I personally think Missouri is going to win.
I think Baylor's going to win. I mean, that's just a no-brainer.
They just took a big loss to Kansas.
I think so too, because I'm feeling lucky.
Well,
I'm feeling good right now.
We need Baylor to win because that's going to help BYU's strength of schedule go up. They can't keep losing.
No, that's definitely 100% true. Whatever Lydia picks is pretty much what I'm going to pick.
I'm feeling good.
I'm feeling good too.
We can do this.
Well, that's CougTube for Friday, February 10th.
If you want another look at the stories we did today or to share with your friends, check out the CougTube section of our website, 11news.byu.edu.
Thanks for joining us. Have a great afternoon. Let's go Cougs.